Sarah McLean on the Fated Mates podcast is often talking about how it's important in a romance novel to not just understand why two characters belong together. It's also important for us to understand why they've been held apart in a novel up until the happily ever after. And I've been thinking about that in the context of episode 6 of Heated Rivalry, and specifically my favorite scene, which is Shane and Ilya with their feet pressed together on the couch. And in it, Ilya sort of throws out this hypothetical. He could marry Svetlana, it would solve his citizenship problems, they would have a platonic but affectionate relationship. And over the course of that conversation, Shane, in one of the most open and vulnerable moments on the entire show, tells him, no, don't marry Svetlana, we'll figure something out. And when I was talking to a friend about the scene today, it clarified for me that this is exactly the thing that has held them apart in the last 5 episodes in the bulk of the book. The fact that Ilya is someone who arrives at truths about himself and his relationships very quickly. He's very astute and perceptive in that way. But it takes him much, much longer to figure out how to tell the truth in some direct, straightforward way. Whereas Shane is a character who arrives at truths about himself and his relationships much slower than Ilya, but once he has realized them, he's unable to be anything but truthful with himself and others about those things. So in some sense, Ilya is a slightly more duplicitous character. Shane is a kind of slower to process, but more honest one. And I say all of this with no moral valence. I think there are really valid reasons why both of them process information and react to it the way that they do. But it's interesting because it does put them at cross purposes, right? Ilya is trying to make romantic gestures, but he has to come at things sideways. He has to throw out this hypothetical that tests Shane instead of just saying how important Shane is to him. He has to say, I don't want this problem to go away, rather than just saying, I love you. He's saying, I was going to make a tuna melt. I can make another one. It's not a big deal. Instead of just saying, let me do something for you. I care about you. And Shane, on the other hand, is a character who is making more of the direct emotional treatises of their relationship. He's the one saying, come to the cottage. He's saying, let's be honest with each other. But he's also the one who took much longer to process what this relationship really was. It wasn't until this hypothetical was thrown out that we really see the depth of what Ilya means to Shane. It's not until Shane has kind of hurt Ilya that he processes that he's gay. And I think that the thing that's really lovely about this scene is that immediately after we get their I love you confessions, and in that, Ilya is the one who says I love you first. And it is such a risk. But it's also evidence of the fact that they've figured out how to take these divergent qualities about them and make them converge.